chaps, I've got Tom and Sam, isn't it?
That's correct.
Yep. Yeah. There you go. And you run a gym called Northern Strength.
Yep.
Up in Warrington, yeah.
And you come on our radar because you helped us out. You did a bit of fundraising for us, and yet again, massively appreciated. But what took me by surprise, I'm going to be massively arrogant here. I don't mean it's how this is going to sound. Normal fitness coaches, blah blah blah, like they want to just, they're a bit more open. But with you, you're heavy lifters.
Powerlifters, strength training and powerlifting. It's more of a strength training facility that is predominantly filled with powerlifters, to be honest. Yes, that's correct.
Because for some weird reason, that's what took me by surprise. Because obviously you're very, I know it's a naughty word these days, but very masculine, very top. I don't know. I nearly said toxic, and there's nothing wrong. There's a massive difference, isn't there? You can tell I've been running a charity for way too long now, because obviously sometimes you say the word masculine and the word toxic comes into it, and they're two totally bloody different things. Totally different things. But I think the powerlifter world. Go on.
I was going to say though, there can be a bit of an association with not the healthiest masculinity within the fitness industry. So I can maybe see why you might be like, oh, these guys, what's going on here? Why are they interested in the mental health aspect of things? Because I think there is a portion of the fitness industry that might turn a blind eye to that, and that they don't necessarily have the healthiest relationship with being open and discussing their feelings, and feeling comfortable actually opening up to that side of things. It's like, the old school masculine stiff upper lip, don't talk about your feelings kind of side of things, definitely. But we're not on that wavelength, not at Northern Strength.
No, I think that's why I wanted to pull you into video, because again, I don't mean to be fair. I didn't mean to be offensive at all. But it just took me by surprise, and it's nice to see your industry. And I'm going to pigeonhole you in the powerlifter people. It's nice to see it changing, and actually, I saw some of the tags and the posts and whatever else. There's everyone just being quite open, talking about mental health and all of this kind of stuff. I think it's good. Like, do you find it's opening up a bit more with you guys?
Yeah, the powerlifting community is quite close knit. Like, I've got a lot of friends through powerlifting, and I think it is becoming a little bit more open. Like, me and Sam will chat about stuff. There's people I've got who are in the gym and aren't in the gym, but we'll talk about stuff like that, and it's good to have those people around.
I'd say from lockdown, really, a lot of people have kind of realised how much of an impact, not being able to exercise in how they normally would within their social groups when gyms closed down. That's when they kind of realised how important or how much of an effect lack of exercise and having that routine for a lot of people, and having that outlet to help with their mental health and keeping their head straight. I think since then it's become it's become more popular to speak about, and it's raised awareness. The fact that it was unfortunately highlighted by the lack of it, how many people suffered when gyms did close.
Absolutely. I think one of the good things about COVID, I said this in a video a long time ago, I think one of the good things about COVID, I've got to be very careful with my words here, but I think one of the good things about COVID is everybody felt a little bit of loneliness. Everybody felt like, if you go to the supermarkets, all masked up and all this kind of stuff. And when you get that you always get, I don't want my race to say, but you always get that one person who just stands there, wants to read every single bloody ingredient, and you want to just grab it. But you look at stuff, you're like, okay, I don't want to go near them. I think it increased everybody's anxiety, strangely, maybe in a healthy way, so everyone could relate to people who've got mental health issues. Have I made sense?
Yeah, I think once you suffer a little bit, you're generally going to empathise more with other people. And unfortunately, a lot of people did suffer through that, so therefore can realise, you can be in a bad place, and like I say, empathy's been raised towards it, and subsequently awareness.
Yeah, empathy. That's a word. What I don't hear that word as much as I should do. This day and age, I think that's the trouble with social media and everything else like that, isn't it? Everyone's just so focused on themselves.
Yeah, easy to judge sometimes. When actually, if you had a bit of empathy and thought, why is that person like that? What's happened? It goes a long way having a bit of empathy.
Oh yeah, no, massively. That'd be a quote I'll probably nick for a meme or something like that going forward. So thank you very much for that.
Shout me out though, yeah.
Again.
Just shout me out. Just say this came from Sam Bollins.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I'll rinse it to absolute. I'll rinse it to absolute death. So you like being like gym owners or whatever else? Then, like, do you must get the odd bloke or even a woman where you can see they're not right. But how do you deal with that?
You want to have a go, Tom?
Yeah, I mean, I think because like certain gyms are like if you go to a big gym, you're probably going to see the same person occasionally. You know, gyms who've got 2,000-3,000 members, whatever it is. In the gym we own, I think we've got about 30 members. So essentially, you're seeing the same people day in day out, and you're spending 1 to 2 hours with those people. So you get to know them pretty well. And I think that is one of the benefits of having like a private gym like us, where we're a bit smaller. Everyone's kind of got similar goals, and you get to know people, and you can tell when someone's not having a good day because you know them pretty well. There's guys in here that I spend 4 days a week training with, 2 hours, and same with some of the girls, and you can tell when they're not quite right. And sometimes it doesn't have to necessarily be a talk there and then. But just having people to kind of maybe get away from whatever is causing that and just talk to, like-minded people and friends, essentially. Whereas I think a lot of people, if they go to the gym and train alone, or if they don't train or whatever, you're going to work, you're coming home, maybe not having that time to, just have a chat, which might make a big difference. And I think with the online coaching as well, like Sam, before we did this, Sam was my online coach, and I've had some shit going in my life, and Sam can kind of pick up through that, just like through voice notes and stuff, because obviously I've been coached by him for like 2 years now. So I think that is one of the benefits of having a smaller gym with a kind of tighter, close-knit community.
Yeah. How do you I don't know, say for example you saw Sam just not right, how would you approach it?
I'll probably just see.
No, it is a hard one, but I think I'm a massive advocate, and I guess sneakily I try and put that's one of the messages of Man Up is there is the way people speak to me about. I've said this loads, this thing, but with me, if I'm starting to feel a bit down, or even the depression is starting to kick in a little bit, I've got one of my trustees, Steve. He's like, Dan, you're being a prick. But because that's just the terminology. That's the terminology that's our relationship. And so, for example, like Sam, if I don't know, I've been to your gym for a couple of weeks. If you come up to me and say, "Right, Dan, you're being a prick," I'll be like, "Fuck you, man! Like, who do you think you are?" But I think that's what I'm trying to get to the bottom of.
I think it's done it'll have to be done on an individual basis. You've got to know that person. So again, I've done it. See, Tom is the one who really runs the gym in Warrington. He's based in Warrington. I'm based in Sheffield. Predominantly, my coaching is online. So Tom has built a very personable relationship with each and every one of those members. So it'd be a matter of knowing how you could speak to him, just like your friend knows he can approach you and say something that he would be able to talk to in a certain way. I mean, the way that I deal with it, if I feel like I'm picking up that somebody's not in the right headspace, I can only ask and see whether they're open to discussing it. No, tell them, and I'll let them know. I think one of the biggest things you can do to help have these conversations more easily is if you open up yourself. Once you make yourself vulnerable and go, "Don't worry, I've been there, I've gone through that, I've suffered with X, Y, and Z. And then all of a sudden they become more comfortable with going, oh, right, well, if this guy's gone through that, then maybe it is normal to admit that maybe I'm feeling a bit anxious, or I'm unmotivated and my job's stressing me out, or whatever it is. So my personal tactic is to make myself vulnerable, ask if they're okay, and allow them to be able to bounce back off that. Because they've got to be able, you can't force somebody to be able to have that conversation. And then once they do, you can only really advise them and on stuff that you found helpful yourself. But
I think to be fair to Sam as well, you have been quite vocal about it on social media. Like, you've got quite a big social media following, because obviously Sam used to be the top 125 kilo powerlifter in the UK. So with that comes quite a large following on social media. And to be fair, you have been quite vocal about, the issues that you had. And I think that has, helped people kind of open up to you as well.
Yeah, since so 18, just under 18 months ago, I retired from powerlifting about 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah,
I was like at the top when I did, and I decided I wanted a better balance in life. There was other things I wanted to do, but about between 16 to 18 months ago, I was basically my fiance left me. I had a bad breakup, and it just really put me in a bad place. And it made me question a lot of things about myself, and go through the normal rigmarole of kind of having to pull yourself out of the pit of depression that I found myself in. And Tom's right. At the time, I went through some stuff, and I thought I realised that the way that I'd been dealing with things previously might not have been the healthiest. And I thought, I bet there's a lot of men out there that just are suffering through things that maybe either don't realize what they're doing might not be healthy, or just might not feel comfortable speaking about it. And I've always been quite comfortable with talking, and I'm a confident guy, and I thought it'd be worthwhile, or I thought it'd come if it came from somebody who was, this elite powerlifter, meant to be this big macho alpha male kind of guy. If he's saying, look, this has really made me feel bad, and I'm suffering with this, I thought hopefully it might resonate with other people and make a difference. And I thought, I don't care if I might look weak or vulnerable, or seem to be a bit odd and going off the rails to a few thousand people, as long as it reached, it connected with a couple that might have been really going through a tough time. And it did. I got quite a few messages, and this is what compelled us to. We have these conversations frequently, me and Tom, but that's kind of what compelled us. Once we opened this facility, that we wanted to do something to give back, to be able to raise awareness, because there still is that stigma. I feel the stigma is, for men, in particular for men, it's seen as a weakness. Men are meant to be the strong, the provider, the one that you can rely on. So as soon as, and especially with social media just being a constant highlight reel of living your best life, as soon as you maybe admit that things aren't great and you might be struggling and you do need help, it's hard for a man to do that, because you're seen as weak to people, which is the stigma that we need to get rid of. And I said a few words at the end of the competition that we did when we were trying to raise a bit of awareness and money. And I think that's the nail on the head. And I think the biggest thing you can do is just have these conversations more frequently. And that's what compelled me to say something at the time. And then also what compelled me and Tom to put this competition on in the first place.
And well done to you, mate. Do you think it's funny because you said about I don't mind looking weak, or I don't want to misquote you, so I apologise. Do you think it was easier for you to speak out about it? Because let's face it, you aren't weak. You're quite a strong. Do you reckon that helps?
Yeah, it's hard to. get in the mindset of other people and think I can only go on kind of the way that I felt. But yeah, I do. Maybe I think I find it quite easy, which has helped me to be able to go through and bring myself into a much better place. And I'm doing really, I've done a lot of positive things, and I feel like I turned it round and actually used it as a positive. And I believe that might be down to the fact that I can feel comfortable telling my friends, family, or whoever that I'm really suffering right now. I feel rubbish. But that's why I wanted to say something publicly to go, if I'm saying it, like, and give advice. I didn't just say I'm struggling. I gave it. I did it when I thought I'd gone through a bit of a rubbish time, and found that I'd managed to pull myself into a better position. And I was kind of trying to give advice to anybody who did, but perhaps was still in that dark time and didn't know how to feel better. And it ties very closely actually into to training and having focuses and goals and just doing positive things and taking action really.
Well, it is. It's in a nutshell, sweeping statement. It's also routine, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think
you've got to figure yourself out, find out what works for you, because we're not all the same. But I know that basically for me, making an action plan and thinking, right, I feel, well, if I'm being honest, when I first felt really rubbish, I was YouTubing just how to feel happy. I just felt so low. I didn't know what to do. So I looked up on advice on how to do that. And when I thought, right, okay, that sounds as if it would work, I'd make a plan, because I'm the type of person that will at least try and do something. And I believe that's what you've got to do. As hard as it is, when you're feeling bad, you can't expect to feel better without doing something. It's got to start. The ball's in your court. You've got to do something to take action. And whether it's talking to somebody, that's still you doing something, or whether it's got like, oh, maybe I need to go for a 10-minute walk a day, because getting some fresh air that helps you. Whatever it is, but make a plan and start working towards that. And I guarantee, baby steps, a bit of consistency, you'll soon start feeling better.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you. I think that's what frustrates me sometimes with the whole mental health world. It's like, talk to someone. Actually, do you know what? We should always talk to people, but sometimes to get yourself in that mind frame, go for a walk.
Just do something that gives you some endorphin, some dopamine.
Yeah, no,
that's why exercise is so good for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's something I wasn't expecting with. Oh, yeah, we all know the stats of exercise mental health. There is science behind it. People can argue about it. There's science behind it. End of. And I don't know anybody who feels worse after a good walk.
Yeah.
But I think I've lost where I was going, so I apologise. Sam, you got anything to chip in there? I don't know.
Say that again.
Sorry, Tom. Have you got any? You've gone very quiet there, mate. I don't want to cut you out of the video.
No, mate. I was just like Sam, as I say, has been the guy, who's doing it. I mean, the idea did come from me for this competition. It was more from kind of listening to Sam, etc. And assuming there's a lot more people out there like that. And I think on the day we brought a lot of people together. And I still chat to some of the lads who came and trained and stuff. So. Yeah, I think it's just about bringing people together and just making those connections and, having someone you can potentially reach out to.
Yeah, no, so, well, I'll give you credit if you're the guy who organised it, Sam. I don't want to cut you out, so I apologise, but because
it deserves the credit, it should take it.
But the thing is, mate, because you did it in the first week of January, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I ran away to the Peak District to live on a mountain for in a tent for a week. So I was like in and out of like 4G and all this kind of stuff. But so every now and again, when I was getting a phone, I was seeing like some of the tags in the post. So it was like men and women. So I was like, okay, there's something on. But that stuff was nice. But then I started seeing comments on people's posts about like mental health, and there was a woman. I've forgotten her name, but there was one woman. I think she joined. And some of the comments were people being quite open about their own mental health as well.
Yeah, that was kind of what it was for. Obviously, like the money is is great that we raised, but the main thing was to just try and get people in, get people talking to each other, which I think we did a pretty good job of. Like, a lot of people
No,
turned up. It was a really good day.
No, you did absolutely, and well done to you, mate. Because I think you've done a very good thing in like I said earlier on in the call. I don't want to judge the powerlifting world, but I just presumed your own little ecosystem and everything's about feel the burn. I'm being massively judgmental, so I apologise. Maybe I've watched too many Eddie Hall videos, but it's just. Do you get what I mean? Of just be strong, get on with it, get on with it, get on with it, and you guys just don't like that. And
that is probably what it looks like from the outside, really. Like, I mean, you know, me and Sam are both big lads. We probably look relatively unapproachable to most people, but we're not, you know. And that, again, just trying to raise some awareness of the, you know, that the scene isn't like that at all, really. Like, some of the best people I know are from powerlifting. Like, it really is a good community.
I think there's probably, in the same way that there's stigma that, like, for men's mental health and like men opening up and admitting that they need help, there's probably been a stigma towards gyms where people think that it's going to be this big burly, like, don't look at me or I'll chin you kind of like environment, but it's really not. That, like, going into a gym and having like a common interest with a group of people, it's really good. And you all connect, you share your stories, you talk about life. When you're suffering, you know, you've got somebody to vent to.
Yeah.
When you're having a good time in your training, it's a really good environment to be in. I think because, like, as humans, we're meant to be social, and going into the gym and having that time. Do you know what I do a bit of meditation now and then, not very often, just like when probably when I'm actually not doing the best, I'll spend some time, because I find that that's really good for me, just switching your brain off from whatever you're going through. But I see exercise and training as a form of meditation, with a combination of so whilst you're training, you're not, you know, whatever it is that you don't feel good about. I tell you what, you're not thinking about that when you've got a barbell on your back squatting 10 reps, and you know, your mind shuts off. So it's really good for your brain to just forget about all your troubles, be in the gym, just focus on your training session. And then if you're in like a facility, I'm not saying every gym's like this, but Northern Strength, you know, because we're a close-knit group of lifters and it's quite small and everybody talks to each other, you might not get that in JD gym where everybody's got their headphones in and everybody speaks to each other. But if you go into a gym where it's got a good environment, it's great. You get to switch off, you talk, you walk out of there feeling 10 times better than you did walking in if you felt rubbish. And it's great. It keeps my head straight. Like, even to this day, I will never stop training in some capacity. I will never stop training because it's so good for you, not just to look muscly and to be healthy, but just just mentally, because we don't get enough exercise in our office jobs or doing whatever we do day to day. It's huge. It's the reason why every single person says do some exercise if you're struggling with your mental health. It really helps.
Well, pretty much every single video I've done, it must be a couple of hundred now, over the last 2 years. Pretty much all of them have been, I went for a walk. They've done some sort of exercise. And yeah, again, like I said earlier, that there is science that backs it up. And end of. Yeah. That's it. We can moan about it, so I don't want to, but actually, I think on the other hand, though, we've got George closing them out, but I think we've got to be very careful about, actually, sometimes exercise for some people is that 10-minute walk to the shops.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be like doing a massive deadlift, but it's still, you know, I think men more so, if they feel like they're achieving something and working towards and progressing in whatever field that is, and it could be the fact you go from a 10-minute walk, you go to now for a 15-minute walk, you go for a 15-minute walk, you go for a 20-minute walk, or if you're in the gym, you used to lift this much and now you can lift that much. It's so rewarding, it's so good. You can almost get a purpose from just feeling like so a lot of people kind of identify as like a powerlifter if they really get into it, and that can be for them, you know, if they feel that their purpose is to do that, it's like I say, it keeps your head straight and gives you a purpose in life, which is a huge thing. If you haven't got a purpose or you don't really feel like you're doing anything with your life, it's easy to slip into a dark place.
And that's a very valid point. And sadly, that is one to end on, because I've got to go to the shop for the missus in a minute because she's going to go mad. But yeah, again, someone knows your gyms or whatever else sort of thing. But Tom, from what you organised, that fundraiser awareness thing, from the comments, just as a third party and CEO, whatever, of a charity, well done to you, mate.
Cheers, mate. And we are going to be doing that every year as well. I'm going to make this a yearly thing, so hopefully, get it bigger every year and you get more and more people aware, more and more people talking. So, yeah, hopefully this is just the start of it.
Thank you very much, chaps. Let me hit the record button 1 second.